Hi everybody, my name is Silvan, I'm the founder of LongtermTrends, and today I'll show you the weekly macro report. So what is the weekly macro report? It's a combination of all the most interesting charts on long-term trends. So obviously on long-term trends you can find a lot of macro data and about stocks, about bonds, about commodities, about crypto, and there's a summary of all of that right here. It's weekly because the paragraphs are updated using the Perplexity API actually every Sunday, so that's why it's weekly. So in this first section you'll see it's about economic growth and economic outlook. It's a comparison of the S&P 500 year-over-year growth and GDP growth. There's also one GDP analyzed, GDP quarter-over-quarter analyzed, and finally the Fed funds rate, but also the Fed funds futures, what they imply for the Fed funds rate. So that's the first section. Those are the first three charts. And the paragraphs are really good in my opinion. I'm really happy with them because they accurately describe week by week what's happening in those charts. So for example, here in this first paragraph we see it describes a year-to-date 13.5% return for the S&P 500 year-to-date. So year-over-year it's 12.93. Year to date it's 13.54, so that's accurate. What it's driven by, it's talking about GDP growth in Q2, which was 3.8% analyzed. So that's this number that you see here, 3.8%. Because of the government shutdown in the United States, we haven't seen a lot of GDP data recently. This is why we're still talking about Q2. Usually it's not that lagging. The data gets updated automatically. And then the Fed funds rate, it stands at 3.88%, which we can verify in this chart here. And also it's down from 4.33%. And often here it also talks about futures and what the Fed might do next in their meeting, like how they might adjust the Fed funds rate. Alright, now if we scroll down, next section is on the labor market. We see four different series in this chart: the unemployment rate, initial unemployment claims, continued claims, and the long-term unemployment rate. Also because of the government shutdown, these two series are lagging, but initial unemployment claims, they were published throughout the government shutdown. And in this next one we also have the JOLTS hires number. Next up we have interest rates, looking at different maturities for treasury bonds, and then we have yields for different bonds by credit risk. We'll look at yield spreads. We're looking at inflation dynamics and which components are driving inflation. We're looking at inflation expectations priced into TIPS bonds. We're looking at the money supply and how it's driving inflation. We're looking at consumer sentiment, current, and also about the future. And we look at the spread between those two. And it's really interesting how the spread between the expectations and the current conditions for consumer sentiment, how it correlates with the yield curve, which also compares the future with the present. Like bonds with the longer maturities, bond yields with longer for bonds with longer maturities, with the bond yield of bonds with shorter maturities. So it's similar in that way, but it's completely different perspectives. One is bond investors, the other one is households. Charts about the housing market. Charts about stock market sectors. This is a trading view chart as well, which I really like. Different stock market valuations, internals such as the VIX, growth versus value, cyclical versus defensive, and then different factors. This is growth, so this is total return. Then we have global equity indices, such as India, Japan, Germany, China, and so on. We have the ratio of the US stock market versus the world, and the emerging market versus developed markets. We're looking at commodities, we're looking at the crypto markets, we're looking at currencies, we're looking at debt levels in the United States, federal debt, household debt, and corporate debt. And finally, a look at the data releases ahead at the economic calendar. So, as you can see, a really comprehensive macro report, updated weekly. I really like it. I really enjoyed building it. I really enjoyed aggregating the most important information from long-term trends from the website. I'll keep expanding it as the site grows, and as we add more charts, I'll also expand the weekly macro report. And I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching.